Hello, everybody. It's Luna, and today we're going to be reading another Lolita fashion vlog. This time from 2011, so it's not as old as some of the other vlogs that we've read. However, the topic of this vlog post is drag queens and Lolitas. I think it's really interesting. I've seen this talked about on and off since I started doing Lolita fashion, and I definitely have my own thoughts on it, and I will share that at the end of the video. But to start with, I'll just read this one, and it's off of the blog levitafrills.blogspot.com. Alrighty, Drag Queens and Lolitas, an essay. Deep within the realms of the universe lies a world of two cultures, one of more glitz and glam and the other of a more classic attempts at beauty. Both share similarities that one could not configure through a normal looking glass, but when looking deep within a world of possibilities, I bring you a luscious aha moment, ladies. Are you ready? Drag queens and Lolitas are ridiculously similar. Now that you might have had a gasp and a moment to think, take a deep breath and remember, be calm. No, I'm not saying that we are men dressed to be female impersonators, though we do have brolitas and gosh do I love them. But instead that like drag queens, us girls in frills are of a very similar attitude, mindset, and cultural behaviors. We are both of an extreme subculture based around fashion appearance, and we have an actual system of rules and regulations that keep it in order, excluding it from other subcultures and lifestyles. You don't see a group of girls that are religiously obsessed with Walmart or reserving prints at Kohl's, do you? So, in honor of the teaser trailer release of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 4, I just had to write this article, the article of my dreams. Now, if you're completely stumped on how RuPaul relates to Maki and Asuka, we'll take a look below at the side by side comparisons of something that you may find surprising. Trust me, when I had the revelation, it definitely took me back. So let's lip sync for our lives, hunty, and check out the relations below. And then there's another subsection labeled drama. Let's face it, there is definitely drama in Lolita fashion. You know it, your friends know it, hell, even your mama probably knows it too. From the infamous drama communities, CGL, it exists, honey, let's embrace it. And even just private little spats, it's a drama cliche driven world out there. But guess what? Drag queens have that all too. Sure, they might not have an online forum community like us, but there are plenty of catfights and backstabbing. Take, for instance, the drama on RuPaul's Drag Race, specifically Raven versus Tatiana. Raven is a much more professional and older queen from LA, whereas Tatiana was younger and newer at the game. Think of it as an older Lolita versus a newbie. Raven would basically tease Tatiana to no end, allowing it to end in a catty fight towards the end of the season. As mentioned, there's definitely a dramatic difference between the older queens versus the newer ones. Maybe it's an age thing, or maybe even something of jealousy or envy on both sides. Either way, it can end in a big ol' mess. But when queens come together after a battle, it surely is a lovely sight of love and harmony, which I believe can be said the same for any relationship patchwork. Speaking of which, older versus noobs, aka Heathers versus Buggers. Alright, I have to disclose at this point that anything that this author is saying about drag, I am completely lost. You know how it is when you start out in the scene, everything looks a bit bigger and scarier than it does later on in your frill life? Trust me, I was an extreme fail the first go around. And the same goes doubly for our fellow queens. It's one thing to dress in a poofy dress and call it a day, but to dress as the identity of another gender? Oh, honey, please, it ain't easy. But then you've been in the scene for a while. You've evolved from the girl asking the questions about bodyline on EGL to the one answering the questions about angelic pretty. We learn and we grow, but as we mentioned before, both of these scenes share their drama in the generational age gaps. The best example of this can be the two cliches discussed at length in Drag Season 3. Heathers versus Buggers. The Heathers, formed in the show of Manila, Raja, Carmen, and Delta, were the beauty queens, the fiercest and the trendsetters. They would always win competitions, have the best dresses, and lip sync with the most passion. Much of the time, the Heathers would be the queens in their prime, or had been around a decent enough time to know a thing or two. Then on the other side, we have the Buggers, or to frilly relate, Edas or noobs. The queens are that maybe aren't as polished as the others because they are newer to the scene and maybe didn't listen to their drag mothers as they should have. Sometimes the buggers can be the ones that are more reliant on their wit than, say, their looks or their sewing skills. Buggers can also be a bit easier to jump into drama than, say, heathers, where they like to be in denial of a flaw and attack a heather to make themselves feel better. Sound familiar, girls? There are even some queens that'll give themselves other titles like a Veronica. Raven dubbed herself this in Drag U Season 2, but not all these groups are filled with drama. Okay, and then there's another subtitle, and it says Last Friendships. It's true that some of the weirdest of events can gain you the greatest of friends. I was lucky enough to have been granted the chance to have some of my best friends a girl can ask for because of this fashion. I honestly think my life would be a lot more dual, sad, and just not sparkly enough if it weren't for the beautiful and talented people I've met while wearing the frills. I think the same can be said for the long term friendships made through being a queen. These are both subcultures that you really need to make lasting bonds within to stay current and to continue on with it for the long haul. I know I'm never the best dressed in the culture, but I do consider myself to be the Miss Congeniality, and that comes from the friendships I've made and the ones that are far beyond just about dresses. They are about a sisterhood, hunty. We can teach one another things about within the fashion and within life itself. Queens and Lolitas can bond over this. You really can make lifelong friendships with people you otherwise would have never thought of to meet, just because we share this similar love for poofy dresses and a time long forgotten. Queens share that similarity of wanting to be fierce, beautiful, and creative. Together, friendships like this can rule the world and make it ones that withstand even more than the ones that you might have had in high school or in college. The girls I've met, I know will be there with me forever, and as I will be with them. And finally, the final title is titled We Are All Fabulous. That's right, girl. Everyone in these cultures are amazing and fabulous. Even if you are new at the style and are just attempting to see if you even want to fully dive into it, you've already made the biggest step of all, being yourself. In a world where we are told everyone should just be the norm and that is what's praised, honey, no normal person ever truly succeeded. As RuPaul says to all the girls, uniqueness, nerve, and talent are what is going to get you places, and that is exactly what you need in Lolita fashion and in life in general. Drag queens have taught me that the confidence is the biggest and most important factor in your entire outlook on life. If you don't believe in who you are and what makes you fabulous, then you might as well go home and cry to your picture of Maki and Asuka. Like many that have come before, sitting in a corner and doing nothing doesn't solve any problems or get you anywhere. And if you don't feel fabulous right now, change it so that you feel so. Even if someone says you can't, you can. From watching the girls on Drag Race, and seeing my other friends, I've made a commitment this year that I'm going to make myself feel the most fabulous I have ever have. I'm going to take my lessons in treating myself right, in getting rid of those little bits of pounds keeping me away from some brand pieces, and getting myself some wigs. You can never have enough of those, and making the ultimate version of myself. But aside from the outer stuff, I want to make myself proud of who I am as a person. So trust me, a new La Vida Frills is upon us, and it'll be fiercer than ever. If you are feeling the same way, girl, get yourself to where you need to be and take some advice from those that are incredible. Pick a role model. A queen works too. And figure out the things that you like about them and apply them in a natural and mature way to yourself. What do they do that I reasonably can do that will make me feel like a true and fabulous diva? That's what queens do, and trust me, it'll make you feel sparkly all over. So, what have we learned today? You are amazing, queens are amazing, and if the world doesn't see that, then they need their overpriced sunglasses checked. So, what are you going to do today to make yourself feel amazing? So, that actually was a really cute article and definitely wasn't the direction that I thought it was going to be going in. Um, Most of the conversations around drag and Lolita fashion have really centered around whether those two things can be combined. And this article didn't touch on that at all. They brought up some similarities between the two things, which I actually definitely agree there is. And I also do think that they can be combined personally. Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with combining drag and Lolita. I think it looks super cool. I like the effect, and I don't think there's just one way to do Lolita fashion. As long as you follow the basic silhouette and aesthetic, it's Lolita. There's not really any other requirements to Lolita fashion other than that you follow the rules of the fashion reasonably. You can break some things and some exceptions, but that's a more advanced video, better suited for Lolitas who are a lot more into the fashion construction aspect and less of the history and lifestyle. My channel is definitely more geared towards the history and lifestyle in my videos. So if you want to become like an expert coordinator of your cords, I actually really recommend Cupcake Kami-sama. I think that's what their username is on here. They have fantastic videos on like intermediate chords and really, really detailed help to go into like leveling up your chords. But I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here. I loved that article. It was super sweet. I don't actually know that much about drag queens, but I loved the emphasis on being yourself, being the best version of yourself, and those themes that come up over and over again in all of these Lolita blogs that I've found. Um, I pulled together like 100 different articles, and I've definitely skimmed them all for them to be on the list of articles that I will eventually cover. Um, but I absolutely love the emphasis on being yourself, and what does that look like for you? That maybe for you it might not look like being a full-time Lolita, but it's important to be you, whoever you are. And I think that's super sweet, and I loved that article. It definitely showed the time period a little bit. Um, I don't I don't think anyone says hunty that much anymore from what I've heard. Maybe I'm just not in the same space. I think the only person I've recently heard say that is ContraPoints. I don't think I've heard anyone else say that. So it definitely is a little dated, some of the stuff in the article, but I liked it a lot, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week, for people who may have just hopped back in and haven't been seeing this on my channel's rhythm is now every other week is a Lolita Fashion slash J Fashion video and a mermaiding video. So if you're just here for J Fashion, you might want to wait 2 Fridays for me to come back. But if you also like my mermaid content, there'll be another mermaid video next week, and the week after will be another J Fashion video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Luna, out.